Hi there, this is Lori Johnson with MobileTax.Pro, talking to you a little bit about your tax organizer. And this is a document that I provide to you so that I can collect all the information that I need from you in order to prepare your taxes. As you can see, it says that I'm MobileTax.Pro and my LLC name, which is Revision Financial Solutions. It doesn't have your name because if you were a returning client, it would have your information, but for new clients, it's blank. And it says, this is a fillable PDF document. Please complete and upload to your client portal. So as we go down, there is the privacy policy. There is my engagement letter. You will sign your engagement letter at the end when I send you your tax documents to sign. So don't worry about this right now. What's really important, and for each client that you refer to me, I pay you $20. So please be aware of that and use this referral form or coupon to send me a friend and let them make sure that they bring this with them so I know who to give this to. I like to pay out money. All right, so here is the start of the form. And here, typically in the new year, this will be filled out. It will say who I received W-2s for you from last year. So if you gave me a W-2 for Walmart or Lowe's Corporation, it will say Lowe's Corporation here. But for now, I need you to make sure that you click this just to remind yourself that you need to upload your W-2 forms. If you have health insurance information, that 1095C or 1095B, it's optional, but it'd be nice to know, it'd be nice to have that information for you. If you have a 1095A, I am required to have this form. So I really need you to click on it and upload that 1095A. If you are self-employed, you want to make sure that you add any 1099 miscellaneouses. If you have rental property, if you've sold your home, if you had a cancellation of debt, which is a 1099C, any of these other expenses, if you are an educator and you have classroom expenses, employee business expenses are no longer tax deductible as of 2018. But I always say I would rather receive too much information than not enough information. So go ahead and send that. Contributions to your healthcare savings accounts, alimony, student interest. Let's see if there's any of these that might need some further explanation. Investment interest. And so if you have an investment account or you paying some investment on your interest on your investments, send that. Cash contributions, non-cash contributions. For either one of these, for the cash contributions, if you would send me that letter saying, thank you for my cash contributions, or a list of the totals of what you sent, you will need to have the actual receipts in your records. I just really need to know the amounts and the name of the organization and their address for my records. Let's see. Investment expenses, gambling losses, and then there's a bunch of yes, no questions. So you can go ahead and answer those. Personal information, dependent information, healthcare information, home purchase or income purchases, sales, debt information, a bunch of yes or no's questions. And these are all interactive boxes that you can click and unclick. If it's a yes or no, please just click one. I've gotten somewhere like everything was clicked and I'm like, okay, well, what's the real answer? So just one or the other for yes or no. Thank you. Itemized deductions information. If you have itemized deduction, retirement, 401k information, or other work-related retirement accounts, education information, other miscellaneous information that I would like about you. And specifically, I need you to answer this foreign account information. If you have a foreign bank account, the IRS is really focusing in on that, and they need to know yes or no that you have foreign accounts. So it's really important if you're not clicking no to the things that you don't have in any other area, it's probably okay. But for this foreign account information, I actually need you to say yes or no. There's also a question somewhere in here about virtual currency, and I need you to yes or no that. And then we get back down to the summary organizer where you are entering information. And so on these, you can actually click and type your information and enter your other information, your date of birth, and then that you had healthcare all year, your occupation, your daytime phone number. I really need your cell phone number. So if you have a daytime phone number and a cell number and you only want to provide one, I'd prefer your cell phone number. That way I can give you updates on what's going on with your tax return. If your tax return is not accepted and I need to get in touch with you right away so that we can correct it, the IRS really only gives me 24 hours to start resolving those issues. So if you are married or single, and again, only one of these, so please don't click more than one. You just want to click one. If you're not sure what your marital status is at the end of 2000, please ask me and I can help walk you through that. Some people have been separated for 20 years and they don't know what they need to file for this situation, but married means married. And so I would need you to click married under certain situations. We may decide that your, say, status is head of household, but I need to know what your actual status is. And then the other blind, disabled, were you a full-time student? And do you want $3 to go to the presidential election campaign fund? This question does not impact your tax return. It's either yes, you want that $3 to go to that fund, or no, you don't. Your dependent information is very important, all of this. And months in home means how many months in that year was that dependent in your home. So the highest number that you can have in this box is 12, and that means that they were there all year. Estimates. This is if you sent in estimated tax payments to the IRS or to a state or local city, and you want to put in the date that you paid and the amount that you paid. If it were from an overpayment from your last tax return, if you sent it in first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, or if you sent in additional payments. And this is for if you want either your refund or your balance due to be directly deposited or withdrawn from your bank account. So you give me your bank account information, your bank routing number, account number, and then let me know if this is checking or savings. And then, because you may not know if you're getting a refund or if you'll have a balance due, if you're okay with it being deposited in that account and being withdrawn from that account, just let me know that. Or if you have an account that you want deposits to go into and a separate account that you want withdrawals to come from, you can let me know that information. All right, so this is, I wouldn't worry about this. If you are going to provide me with your W-2, I do not also need you to complete this information, but it will be very helpful in future years for you to see, oh yeah, like I earned, and it'll be listed in this gray areas. The gray areas are previous years information. So you can't click in them and change them because they're from previous years. But if you work for Lowe's Corporation and you made $70,000 last year, it might help you understand what's going on with your tax return if you realize that you only made $62,000 this year. And so it's really helpful information. This is where you would put 1099-Rs or other retirement documents. And again, if you have that 1099, or yes, if you have the 1099, I don't need you to also put the information here, but it just is helpful for you to see that last year you had 4 of them. And so now it's like, okay, well, where is that one 1099 or that one W-2 or that one whatever document from that company? Let me call them up and get that document. Other income that you may have, scholarships or grants not reported on a Form W-2, state income tax refunds, Social Security benefits, all of these documents. Again, it will just show you from last year. If you don't have an actual document where you are submitting that to me, like for example, alimony received, you will actually need to type in the amount of alimony here. But if it's on a form, then you can send me the form. Adjustments to your income, usually things like educator expenses. This is if you are a teacher, a teacher's assistant, or some form of educator. If you spend up to, I think, $500 in your classroom, they'll give you an adjustment to your income for that. If you've made contributions to your health savings account, again, if you paid alimony, you'll not only want to put your information in these lines, but you'll also want to list who you paid that alimony to and their Social Security number. And I've had this question many times, but yes, they are required to give you your their Social Security number if you're paying them alimony, because you have to put it on this form. If you have a Roth IRA or a My IRA or, regular IRA, if you pay interest on a student loan, they should have sent you a statement. But if for some reason you didn't receive one, you can put it there, but there should be a statement for that. Job relating moving expenses, unless you are military, they typically don't allow this any longer. But like I said, more information is better than less information. And then Schedule C, profit or loss. I need if you have a small business and you're a solar entrepreneur, an LLC, a sole proprietor, all of this, meaning that you file a Schedule C, I need all of this information. If you have a profit and loss statement, it's possible that you may not need to fill this out, but if you see something that's not on your profit and loss statement that is on this form, please complete it here. If you made payments of $600 or more to an individual who was not your employee for services, and you are listing this here for contract labor. For example, if you hired a virtual assistant, or if you hired subcontractors, if you hired a business coach, if you are working with a marketing person, that's all contract labor. If you are not paying them directly through a third party merchant account or someplace like PayPal or Square, where that organization keeps track of how much you're paying, you need to send them a 1099 miscellaneous form if you paid them $600 or more, and if you're listing them here in contract labor. So if you need to know more about that, feel free to reach out and I'll answer questions for you. If you have a company where you have inventory, you need to fill out this cost of goods sold section. So how much inventory you had, at the beginning of the year, and that is at cost. How much inventory did you purchase? How much of that inventory did you take out of your inventory and use personally? So if you're selling lotions, and you had, $100 worth of lotion, and you took out a $2 bottle, and then you started using that for your own hands, you took out $2 worth of your inventory. The cost of labor, and that's labor that is directly related to that inventory, right? Materials and supplies. Maybe you needed materials to pack your inventory. Other costs like shipping. And then if you had inventory, say you had a $500 of inventory at the beginning of the year, and then you purchased $1,500 worth of inventory, that would be $2,000. And then say you sold $800 worth of inventory. At the end of the year, you should still have $1,200 worth of inventory. And again, that will go back to the following year, and that will be also your beginning of the year inventory. Okay, so Schedule E, if you have rental property, just know that I need you to complete everything on this form. You either have it or you don't have it. So, for inventory, 0 if you have advertising, 0 if you have advertising, or the amount if you don't. With rental properties and with royalties, I just need to do a little bit more deeper diving to make sure that we have everything that I need for your tax return. Other expenses related to business. Now, you will complete, I'm going to go back up, this Schedule C, profit and loss. If you're doing any kind of driving and you have information in this car and truck expense line right there, or if you have a royalty and you have any, or rents or royalties, property, real estate, like rental properties, and you have anything in auto and travel, if you are taking any auto expenses, you also need to complete this auto expenses under expenses related to business. So I need to know the name of the business vehicle the vehicle is used for. I don't know. That's a typo there. The name of the business that the vehicle is used for. And so this might be for the Schedule C business, or it might be for the rental property. The description of the business, it might be a 2019 Chevy Equinox, or it could be a Dodge Ram, or whatever it is. The date that the vehicle was placed into service is the day that you started using that vehicle for that business. So it's not the day that you purchased it, unless you also purchased it and instantly started using it for your business. But it's the day you started using it for your business. You answer these questions. Was there another vehicle available? Was it available during off-duty hours? Is there evidence to support your deductions? Now, you may be thinking, no, I don't have any evidence to support my deduction. But if you put down in your calendar where you were driving to drop off your inventory or pick up your inventory or go collect rent or do a show or a speaking gig, if you put that in your calendar, that is evidence. And yes, it is written evidence. So you can click both of those. Numbers of miles that was driven. So when it says business, it wants to know the business miles that you drove for that particular business. And then it wants to know, in addition to business mile, did you do any regular commuting in that vehicle? So say that you had a business, but you also had a 9 to 5. When you drive to work and from work, that is considered commuting. So say that I have a mobile tax business, but when I first opened my business, I had a location. So when I drove to my office and home after the end of my day, that was commuting. It was not business miles, it was commuting. But when I drove from my office to someone's house to pick up their documents or have them sign their tax return, that was a business mile. So then it wants the total miles driven, and it doesn't want just the total business miles or the total commuting miles. It wants to know the miles that you had from at the end of the year, and then subtract the miles that you had at the beginning of the year, and say you drove 27,000 miles on that vehicle that year. That is exactly what it wants to know. And it could be not business miles, it could be not commuting miles, it could be you going on vacation for the weekend. There could be other miles in there. So it's wanting your total miles. If you paid for rent or gas or insurance or licenses. And so these on this side, on this left-hand side in this category, these are expenses that the IRS will allow you to take if you don't take the standard deduction. If you just do the total business miles and you take whatever the current year's standard deduction is, like maybe it's 58 cents a mile. If you take that standard deduction, the IRS won't let you take any of these other expenses, but they will let you take things like tolls or parking. And so it may be to your advantage to fill out all of these, and then I have the information that I need to decide which is best for you. One more thing about these standard miles. If you are a professional truck driver and your business is doing professional over the highway truck driving, you are not allowed to take standard deduction. You have to take your expenses. And so you really need to keep track of all of your expenses. If you are a professional truck driver, please let me know that. And I have a special expense sheet just for you and your profession. And in fact, for very many professions, I have a very detailed expense sheet that you can use. All right, business use of home. So you have two options here, just like the standard deduction for mileage, there is a standard deduction per square feet in your home. And you can use that, or you can use all of the percentage of what you paid for mortgage, real estate taxes, and all of those other expenses for your home. So it wants the total square footage of your home that is regularly and exclusively used for business. So right now, as I sit recording this video, I am in a special area that actually I only use for recording. And then I have another area in my home that I only use for when I'm actually doing business. And those two areas together are the total square footage of my home that I regularly and exclusively use for business. I don't do anything else. When I'm doing my home bills, I sit either on the couch or at my kitchen table. I don't use my office. That's exclusively for my businesses. And then they also want the total square footage of your home and what they expense for your mortgage and other expenses is a percentage if you use those expenses rather than the standard deduction of the square footage for your home. Okay, if you have a property and you have assets, then you want to list those assets, and usually it's assets that are good for more than 1 year. You can also expense those assets, but it really does depend on what you have in your documentation for your business. And if you have no clue what I'm talking about, talk to your accountant, right? So that is not a tax thing, that's an accounting thing. And if you own a small business, you should have an accountant. It's really important, and it can save you a lot of money in the long run. Okay. So Schedule A, itemized deductions. So if you want to itemize now, the standard deductions in 2018 were doubled. So for individuals, it was $12,000. For married filing jointly, $24,000. Basically, it made it so that a lot fewer people are itemizing. But if you are among one of the ones who itemize, please enter all of this information. It's a great reminder of things that can be itemized. And so that's all there. Other information like your mortgage information. If you had a casualty or a theft, so if you were declared an area that had a national emergency, and you might have had damage to your property, you want to enter all of this information here. And that is the end of the tax organizer. As you can see, there are lots of information in here that I might need. This is a comprehensive organizer, meaning that it has a lot of stuff in here. If you are a person that has two W-2s and no children and no itemized deductions, you don't need to have a document this long. And I have a very simple version of this tax organizer just for you. So feel free to let me know that you would like a simple one or this more comprehensive tax organizer. Again, this is Lori Johnson from Mobile Tax Pro, and bye for now.